Welcome. Good morning. Welcome to Breakfast Poetry Live, day 4 of National Poetry Month. I got my eggs and bacon shirt. Well, it's my son's shirt. I found it in his room. And then the eggs and bacon on the coffee mug. And it says, wakey, wakey on the back. Wakey, wakey, eggs and bacon. So, Breakfast Poetry Live, here we are. It is just now 6 o'clock in the morning. I got up early just because I woke up. But also, I decided, yesterday, the job I do, sometimes you end up writing a song with a 5th grade kid who's enthusiastic about songwriting. Same here, podcast in A minor, my songwriting podcast. And it's about Scottish folktale based on a poem. Poem based on a folktale, shall we? Called Jenny with the Iron Teeth by Alexander Anderson is the poet, is the Scottish librarian / I think lumberjack or something, like Renaissance man, 19th century, I believe, wrote Jenny with the Iron Teeth, kind of a vampire folktale combined with the boogeyman, where the parents say, hey, kid, if you don't go to sleep and be quiet and go to sleep, Jenny with the Iron Teeth is going to come down the street, drag you back to her cave. And so the way we got onto writing this song is that there were other kids in the room, and I have this doll. In my art days, I made a lot of dolls, and I made a Jenny Green Teeth, which is a water monster to keep the kids from going too near the water. And Jenny with the Iron Teeth, I made those dolls a couple of years ago, 2, 3, I don't know how many years ago. And for whatever reason, I dragged them into the schoolroom where I work, and these kindergartners will just cradle them. They're terrifying. They have terrifying faces. I don't know. I guess that life is scary and they know it and they're cool with it. But anyway, so I got up at 5:30 because I was awake, and I thought, well, I need to knock that song out, because the kid earlier in the year, same thing. He wrote a song about a barn that was in his family, but he doesn't play guitar yet. He's kind of learning, and he wanted me to play it and sing it. So I did, and sent it to his teacher, and she played it for the class. And so today, same thing, just did with Jenny with the Iron Teeth. Anyway, that's why I'm up, and it's 6:02. Is it too early for coffee? Is it too early for a goblet of Fruity Pebbles? Never. All right. Well, let's launch in to Breakfast Poetry Live. We've already mentioned the poet Alexander Anderson, Scottish folklore. The poem is written in dialect. I'm going to put a link, if I remember to that poem, but it's in the dialect, and I used it when I homeschooled my kid, and I had to sort of write it in the words he would understand, like clays to iron is clothes to iron and stuff like that. So it's really a challenging read, but I'll tell you, I heard it first time ever on Just a Story, the Urban Legends podcast, and the way that Samantha read it helped me understand what was going on. So she did a bang up job reading that wonderful poem about the vampire legend crossed with the boogeyman. All righty. So let's get to our what I call weird phrase. Weird or not, I don't want to oversell, but here's the word balls canned. With our phrase, we string a bunch of phrases together, one per day. Make a little string of beads out of them throughout National Poetry Month. Just random, I'll say it, phrases that popped into my head over the past few months. And so I pull one out of the can every day. And then at the end of the month, we're going to string it together into one long poem. This is the 3rd year in a row that I have done this, and I find it so much fun. That's a weird thing to feel doomed about. This line showed up in Oops, I Hit a Weird Button. If you follow the podcast in A minor, the last few episodes, and I don't remember if we did 2 episodes in a row like this. I think so. The last one we did sort of a gospel theme. 3 of us songwriters. One of them is my fiancé. The other is his very dear friend from years and years. And we all like to do songwriting. And so both times it's happened where I just said something. Well, it's like a random phrase, but it was in a conversation or a texting conversation. And And Scott, my fiance's friend, best friend, was like, let's write a song about that. And so really, truly, the episode of Podcast in A Minor titled Oops, I Hit a Weird Button is because I accidentally hit a weird button on my Instagram while I was trying to message Scott something, and it just sent him 3 seconds of a recording of nothing. I mean, first of all, it made the recording without my consent, and then it just sent it. It was not like, oh, I could turn this off and cancel it. No, it just went. So I had to explain myself by saying, oops, I hit a weird button. And then we just took off with that. When it was time, I mean, everybody was boom, boom, boom. Like, well, Sean and Scott were both just like, oh, okay, mine's done. And I was like, whoa. So I'm going to confess right here and now, mine, my document. I think I used 5 lines, maybe. We'll figure it out as we go. But this is the first line to show up that I did pull for Oops, I Hit a Weird Button. So check out that episode of Podcast in A Minor. Listen for some of the lines that will show up in this month's poem. That's a weird thing to feel doomed about. All right. Fun. So that'll be the one that I add to the poem today. And next comes Poetry Freaks, the game. Poetry Freaks. Here is the side with the rules, the beautiful words, and the poetic moods. Here is the side that is like, you could play like a board game with these little, each rectangle is a poet portrait by me. Thank you, Sean, for deciding to use my poet portraits on a board game. That made me feel good. So what we do is first, before we do it, 6 a.m, before we do it, we read the one that came up yesterday. From Poetic Moods, we roll the D30 to choose the mood of the day's poem, because I'm going to write one every day. And then we roll the D100 to choose an exquisite word from a list of words, just as words, D100. So they are not described as beautiful or intriguing, but I find them so. So let me open up my document. Yesterday was laughing wrong by way of cruel. So the poetic mood was laughing wrong. The word was cruel. Here they go in their poem. Laughing wrong and quipping erratic, flippant, flip, old wing-tipped slang, irreverent vocabulary, and a mind full of giggling harmony in this new land of rules and legalities. I have boarded a sinking ship here, and at intervals give way to a light heart. Cruel. Thank you. And that was laughing wrong crossed with cruel, if you like to say it that way. Now I'm trying to find where I was. Oh, here we are. All right. Still up and running. I have to leave the screen to the insecurities of, away from StreamYard. So to read my poem on the document. But that's done. We did it. It's done. Here's the game again, Poetry Freaks. And so I'm going to I have to turn on my lamp because it's pretty dark over here. All right. So I'm going to roll the D30. Look at me nerding it up with my dice. I'm new to this. I'm not new to dice. My kid loved dice, but I'm sort of new to really nerding it up with them. I'm so excited to have an occasion. National Poetry Month 2024. And I'm going to roll the D30 for today's poetic theme, and it went right to 22, which is spinning illness. Spinning illness. All right, that is the poetic mood for the day. I was ill when I wrote these poetic moods. I had a fever, but they came out even more poetic for it, says I. All right, now I got the D100. Look at that beast. All right, these are tricky, so I'm going to have to let it land on the knitted coaster so it will stop at some point. Rolling. And our topmost number is my favorite number, 14. Going back to a church trip to the zoo where we were waiting for the bus driver. I was in first grade. And to keep us entertained, I suppose, somebody had 2 candy bars and pointed to us all and said, hey, choose a number between 1 and 20. And I chose 14, and I won the 3 Musketeers. Now that right there seals the deal, imprints the favorite number forever. Yes, 14. And that word is petrichor. Petrichor is the fragrance before or after the rain. I'll have to look it up and make sure, but what a beautiful word just to say. petrichor, fragrance of the rain. So that will give us the poetic mood and the word for today. Spinning illness and petrichor. Don't let me just sit here and be all like gaping and staring into the middle distance, excited about that. But I am. I really love this exercise. I think Poetry Freaks is such a cool game. It's Nerd Glows On at Drive-Thru RPG, but I keep putting the link in. So, Poetry Freaks, big game. It's described as a role-playing word game, I think. Role-playing word game, because when you play it, I guess with 2 or more people, you get to become a poet as a character and keep up your character. And hot dog, you do. I forgot to say that because I did do some illustrations finally. I haven't done my block print yet. But for our weird phrase, they traditionally each of the last 2 years, and now this is the 3rd year, I will put them on a like block printed sweater. It was sweater poems the first year. The second year was poetry hats, and now it's going to be on coffee mugs. And what I did the last 2 years was put them into an ebook that you can get on Amazon. Usually read for free if you have Kindle Unlimited, but otherwise like 99 cents if you're into it. And so they contain both art and poetry, and we get our whole entire each page with its mug theme this time. I just drew a mug with chalk on paper. The school where I work, here we are again, just doomed. That was day 1. I skipped day 2 just because this seemed like it would fit on this oil pastel one. Only spin on your own broom. But I'll keep going with those until I get my block carved. I really want to carve my lino block because I love doing that. It's just been a real hectic time. I love the word hectic. So there's that. I'm going to put that there so I don't forget to take it with me to work in a little bit. All right, so Poetry Freaks. We've got our mood. We've got our word. I'm going to read a poem, if you please, from Hot Soda. I have brought out in the past couple of days Howling Breakfast of Moon Soda, which is 4 chapbooks in one. Before I made this book, before I put that book together, Howling Breakfast of Moon Soda, which is available on Amazon.com under Amy Zollers, author. And before I did that, I had 3 of them as chapbooks. I did like a chapbook a month because I was just sometimes you're just on a roll, like the muses are just hanging with you. And that was a couple of years ago. That Hot Soda was inspired by Atlas Obscura's article about soda fountains in the United States back in like the 20s and 30s, maybe the teens, where what do we do at wintertime when nobody wants ice cream? Oh, we'll do hot soda. And it was weird because it'd be like hot broth. I don't know if they added soda water to it. I'm going to have to go back and reinvestigate. This is really down that scene for a while, reading about it and writing about it. So I will read A Soda Shop in Winter. Her habit is a soda shop in winter. You appear noble, a genuine crazy, said your brother poet, Frost. The people flock in from slippery sidewalks for a hot soda to warm their bones, for steaming tonics, headache elixirs, boozeless digestifs, nerve food, brain food, exhilarates. City's 1912 afternoon tasks, promising. Your voice buzzing, a throat singer's, shuttles poetry to song along the threads. You trade your verse for bread. If we were ghosts in love, you said, but not to me. You are 90 years dead, and who is left to croon it? I croon it here. If we were ghost lovers, ghosts and lovers, ghostly lovers. You are a man with visions of Christ. You are a poet who sang of the moon and loved the heart of God, yet drank a bottle of Lysol, a beautiful bewildered, a genuine crazy, and otherworldly. If we were ghostly lovers, here we'd sit at the soda counter, on the laps of the living, and enter them movie ghost style for a warm taste of lemon phosphate with ginger, and smile at our moon bright skulls in the mirror. Thank you. That is to the poet Vachelle Lindsay, whom I've mentioned in the last couple of days. And I did look up his birthday. And I forget again when it is, but I know it's not April. But I really get hung up on him in April. I think maybe because he's just one of my favorite poets from Illinois, USA. He used to wander the country trading poems for bread. In fact, I think that he had a pamphlet made titled Poems to Trade for Bread. And that's what he did for a while, part of his life. All right, so that was one I've read. I think I will next thing do what I neglected to do 2 days ago when I showed you Designated Mourner, and that is tell you that the author is Catherine Owen, and this is a really cool book. I still haven't read that much of it, but I'm so compelled by the cover, I'm so compelled by the title, and I have read a few of them, but I only got it maybe a week or so ago. I don't remember, but not too long ago at half-price books. So that is that for today. That, I guess, is a recommendation. Again, The Milk Bowl of Feathers, Essential Surrealist Writings, Sculptured Water, Floral Ecstasies. 2 phrases I wrote down, surely out of the text, which was Salvador Dali on the terrifying and edible beauty of modern style architecture. Sculptured Water, Floral Ecstasies. Oh, I love poetry, and I love National Poetry Month, and I love doing Breakfast Poetry Live. So thank you for joining me on this fantastic, thrilling Thursday. I always try to alliterate it when I'm at work. Have a thrilling Thursday to the children. So you do the same. And I will see you with more poetry tomorrow. Bye-bye.